Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where now we talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And for today's episode, we're going to dive into Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I know this is going to elicit a lot of reactions, some in the positive, some in the negative, some in the question mark area. That's kind of what I want to address, because is Tulsi Gabbard a closet two-way advocate that's been holding it back for so long, or is this something to achieve some sort of ends? We're going to break this down, but the final catalyst will be linked in the description box below. I want to show you what she said about the ATF overreach around pistol brace regulations. This is a lot, and we're going to dive into it. Now, if you are new or you are a returning viewer, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure that notification bell is on. We need as many people as we can to get into the fold to help pass the blessing of the Second Amendment along to the next generation. And thank you so much in advance for your consideration. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, we're going to dive into this whole Tulsi Gabbard presentation that we're being exposed to. Just put it nicely. Now, there's a lot of people, as I mentioned in the introduction, who are complete non-believers, some who are complete believers, and some who, in my opinion, are rightfully cautious. Well, the big thing that I want to catch you up to here is so far we've seen Tulsi Gabbard come out and do basically three-gun matches with ARs. Come out and say in the weaponization of government against Americans an entire speech which is going against the overpowering executive bureaucracies and the tie-ins with social media. Okay? And now we see what I'm about to show you. Watch this clip around the ATF pistol brace regulation from Tulsi Gabbard, and then we're going to break this down. Let's get it.
Since 2012, the ATF has recognized that these stabilizing braces have served a legitimate function. They approved their sale and use. Now here we are, over a decade later, and the Biden administration's ATF has just issued a rule to reclassify firearms with pistol braces as short-barreled rifles, something that requires federal registration, completely reversing their own policy. What's the consequence of this? Up to 40 million law-abiding gun owners in America are now subject to being charged with
a felony. All right. So here's my stance on this as we go forward. And this is a good rule of thumb for my approach to not only life, but also this channel. If you say something that I agree with, I'm not going to say you're completely wrong. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. However, I'm also not going to line up behind you immediately and say, you're reformed, it's over. Now, going back to the things that I mentioned prior, three-gun matches with ARs, basically signifying support for the Second Amendment, weaponization against government, testifying on behalf of basically the libertarian cause and the anti-abuse of government cause. Okay, and now that against the ATF pistol brace regulation. Now again, what she just said with the pistol brace regulation is spot on. It does make criminals overnight. It is an unjust rule. It is an abuse of power through the executive bureaucracies via the Biden administration. She said all of those things correctly, but that leads us to the point where we're at right now in the video. Do you believe what she said? Is she a closet 2A advocate? Or do you believe that she's seen a change of heart, change of scene, and she's kind of moving forward with a different approach in life? Or do you take the more cynical approach and say there's got to be a reason of why she's doing this all of a sudden? She is a politician after all. She is positioning herself in a very moderate camp right in the middle, more so the libertarian side of things. So how do we break this down? How do we move forward? Well, in the comments field below, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people who are very decided on this, and I'm curious to read those comments. But if you are lining up and you are saying positive pro-2A things, like I said, I'll let you keep talking. I'm going to approach with extreme caution. I'm not going to line up behind you and immediately say, our newfound leader is now going forward. That ain't going to happen because I do know there is a history of gun control tendencies here. However, a really good example, in a case in point, because you got to look back at previous examples, Donald Trump prior to his election was pretty on the left side of the scale. Then got elected, goes in and puts in 3 Supreme Court justices, which lead eventually to the Bruin decision, which is extremely pro-2A. And then at the exact same time, during the exact same presidency, he also utilized the ATF to ban bump stocks and said the exact phrase, take the guns first, worry about due process later. You got a lot of hodgepodge there. Again, I think it would serve us all as a 2A community to look at this as individual occurrences and kind of weigh the entire thing as a sum of all the parts. But I'm very curious. Where do you guys stand on Tulsi Gabbard's new stances? She is saying the right thing. Personally, for me, I'm going to go in the extreme cautious optimism. I'll see what you continue to do. I'll see what you continue to say. And at the end of the day, I'm going to follow your actions, not the words that you're saying on a video, which, by the way, is extremely well produced. That's what I'm thinking at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comments field, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.